I'm Tommy, and you are on the lifeboat. Sandy Wendy, good to see you. Valerie, what's happening? Edward, good to have you here. Janet Brown, good to have you. Ash Bash, Chicken Cherry Cola, the Johnny Scoville. That would be the Johnny Scoville. There you are. Holy crap, dude. Where you been? All right, so here's the deal. Let's get into this right away because a bunch of people are going to be stopping in to check this out because this has everybody on planet Earth enthralled, and I can completely understand why. Diane from Canada. By the way, that's what you're supposed to do when you come in here. Say where you're from. It helps everybody get to know you. David Booley, good to have you here. You will find out, Ash Bash, what's up, that this really is a community. Everybody kind of knows each other, and this is absolutely a true crime audience. I'm not trying to bash on every other channel's true crime audience, but they suck. Ours are people that actually get into this. They ask intelligent questions. They say intelligent things. Cindy G, good to see you. Louisa, my South American friend. Mary, how are you? They took Nancy's car. Yes, they did. Whippy Island Girl, AVAC, and we're going to cover that. Having a wonderful day. I'm glad you are, AVAC. I'm glad that you're here. Hey, Karen. Aspire to Inspire. Nick A, how are you? They took Nancy's car. Here's the thing, man. I mean, did they take it to cover their ass? Honestly, because at one point they said that they had already taken her car, right? They told us that we took that. Glen Hub, Arizona, in the house. I'm an Arizona guy, too. I moved. I live in South America, but my last American address was Tucson, Arizona. In fact, I lived in the Catalina foothills. So this is an area that I am super, super familiar with. They said, Texas, not my emergency. It's a great name. See that? Chase the Heat. I would never have known you were here because I didn't say, hey, the Johnny Scoville. Johnny Scoville, you having a decent morning?
A wonderful morning, Tom.
Good.
How about you?
I'm having a decent morning. Mary, good to have you here.
I don't know if you know this, but you're a YouTuber.
I am a YouTuber, like it or not. So do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and hit the thumbs up. Why? Because I'm going to say things that is going to get YouTube to not push my video. I'm kind of famous for it at this point. Woodman, what's happening? David Booley, good to see you. For instance, you probably hear people say that she may have been unalived. They're so afraid of YouTube, they won't say murdered, right? They won't say child molester. They won't say any of those things because it's going to get your videos not pushed. I'd rather suck on a tailpipe and hold it like a bong hit than have somebody censor my speech.
It's such a disservice to victims.
It's a disservice. Lisa Trimble, how are you? To say grape to someone that's been raped, I'm not that dude. Heidi from Lodi, New York. You know what? Does everybody feel that way? Put a 3 in the chat if you know exactly what Heidi's talking about. She says, oh, Lord, stuck in Lodi again. Of course, that would have been California, but fatigued by all this, but I'm staying informed. This is kicking all of our asses. Hey, Twyla, this is kicking all of our asses because it's very difficult, and I want to point something out that's going to make sense to all of you. Number one, just real briefly, so I do finish a thought occasionally. In a press conference, they said, we always tow the car, right? That's standard procedure. We tow the car from the location so we can do a crime scene. But you didn't tow the car from the location. You towed the car from the daughter and the son-in-law's location. That was the car they originally took. And they're ducking and dodging to try to make it sound like those people are not suspects in this. I think they are. Lake Geneva. Kathy, good to have you here.
Until they catch him, everybody's a suspect. You're a suspect.
Yeah, everybody's a suspect until they catch someone. There's some truth to that. Speaking of which, there is a cat. Oh, boy, I bet I didn't put his picture up. But there was a guy that has been arrested in California. His name is what? Calleja.
Yeah.
What was his first name? You remember Johnny Scoville?
Daniel? No.
Well, his last name is Calleja. And I had a picture of him, but I don't think I put it up. But Cowgirl in the Sand, good to have you here. Mr. Calleja better change his last name because he's got a better chance of seeing God in sunglasses than getting laid. What kind of person reaches out to somebody in the worst part of their life? Alex Moore, good to have you here. At the lowest point of their life, this person's going to reach out and go, hey, send some money to me and I'll send your mom back. Vanessa Carroll, I'm glad you're here. This is literally the lowest form of humanity. And we're watching it come out, right? This is kind of what the show is about, right? Number one, let's go over some things that don't make any sense, right? I talked about this yesterday. They changed the timeline up on us. When this was first reported, there was a bunch of shit they told us that just isn't true anymore. They told us that the daughter dropped off mom after they played Mahjong. Heather Rhodes, good to have you. Incognito, good to see you. Maybe the kidnappers should have used AI to plan this crime out, or maybe they did, and that's why this whole thing is starting to feel like a bad LSD trip.
Can't trust AI.
You can't trust AI. This is actually a shit show, and the reason it is twofold. Number one, We have no idea whether there are kidnappers or not. And I'm going to argue that there are. I spent most of the night going through crap, and I'm going to argue that there are actually kidnappers, or at least people that are doing a really good job of making us think that they're kidnappers, right? This is Ringling Brothers meets Pink Panther. Boy, you're not far off, right? Could you kick that AC down a little bit? You're not far off, because it's easy to look at the sheriff like he's Inspector Clouseau. I actually said to Johnny Scoville earlier, he reminds me of Frank Drebin from Police Squad, right? He just doesn't seem to have it on the ball, and that's unfortunate. But here's what happened. He came out before he called in the FBI. Probably not a good idea. The FBI researches kidnapping every single day of the year. No exaggeration. They have a division that only deals with kidnapping. If you've run through 50 of these, then you get good at it. This guy's a sheriff from a city, right? Tucson's a good-sized city. It really is. But it doesn't have this kind of crime. That lady has so much money, she can offer $5 million right now to get her back. If you know that they've got your mom. Sure, she could put up $5 million. But what happens if you just go, I'll take your word for it. I'm going to send you over $5 million, right? And then you don't get mom back. How many swinging dicks like Mr. Kaeya are going to come out of the woodwork and go, hey, they didn't really have your mom, but I really do. Because once you set precedence of, you don't have to prove that you have them. Laura Lou, good to see you. If you don't prove that you have her, this may not make sense to you guys, right? But I spent most of my life as a criminal. This is a business. You understand? It may be very uncomfortable to think about it this way, but kidnappers have a job to do. The people that pay the ransom have a job to do. The kidnapper's job is to take care of the person that they kidnap and prove that they have it, right?
Proof of life.
Couldn't be more confusing if you lost some window pane in a brown shag carpet.
Wow.
Imagine that. Look at that. Imagine that changed the what do they call those things? Your image, your avatar. Isn't it called an avatar?
Yep.
Change the avatar. If I'm not mistaken, that's from A Clockwork Orange. It is, isn't it? Yeah. If you ever read that book is actually so much better than the movie. And I loved the movie. The movie was kick-ass. But if you read the book, all that crazy...
Kubrick, right?
Yeah, Kubrick did the movie. But if you read the book, all of the crazy lingo that they do in that, there's a glossary in the back that explains all of it and where it came from. It's way more fun. I don't think they actually want the money. Psychological torture and infamy, as twisted as that sounds, well, maybe, right? FBI pulled down last night at Nancy's house. Yeah, Valerie. They also went over to the daughter's house, right? They were only there for allegedly like 7 to 10 minutes. But if you were going over there and saying, hand us all your cell phones, it wouldn't take much more than that, right? We don't know exactly what's going on over there. We know that they took their car and it hasn't come back. Here's the fun question. To get that car, you need a search warrant, right? Take this from a criminal. You have to have a search warrant, which means they had to go to a judge and give him enough reason, or her enough reason, whichever, to give us a search warrant. So you got to go there and go, well, I want to take a look at the car. Why? Well, because we want to make sure that they didn't do it. That's not going to get it done. You're going to have to say, there's a reason I think they did it. So if you're slick, what are you going to do? You're going to go and try to pull that search warrant so that you can see what's going on, right? Unfortunately, they're not showing any of that. It's been locked down, which is funny because if you watch The Lifeboat, then you've heard me come on here and talk about how recently they locked down the cases in the Nick Reiner case. They're not allowing any information out. No warrants, nothing from the coroner's office. Same thing happened in the D4VD, right? The David and Celeste case. And lawyers came out on big channels and went, they never do this. And I said, it happens hundreds of times a year in every city. It's happening right now in Tucson. We have been lied to from Jump Street. Here's the narrative. You guys remember this? She didn't show up at church. She, being Nancy, did not show up at church, right? So when she didn't, people reached out instantly to her family and said, hey, Nancy didn't show up at church today. That's really rare. You got to go over there and check it, right? Unfortunately, she doesn't go to church. She hasn't gone to church since 2020. When the COVID epidemic hit, her church went to virtual services, and she's an older woman. She never went back. Now, I researched the church, right? I wanted to see if it was a Zoom meeting kind of a thing. It is not. However, you do have the ability to leave comments, and there are people there who will check to make sure that someone's in there not going, this person's saying foul stuff on a religious site, because there's a lot. What?
Church mods.
Yeah, church. They have church mods to get rid of church trolls, because there's a grip of them. There are people that hate God. So they may have been, right? They may have actually been so used to interacting with her when she just says, hey, good morning, Ted. Right? Nice to see you, Alice. Who knows? But they sure as shit lied to us, because there was nobody at that church that said she didn't show up here. That's not what happened. They also told us that they made a call to let the family know that happened. The family got to the house at 11 o'clock. And then at 12:03, the family called the sheriff's department. I'm not making this up. Frank Drebin told us this, right? In one of the early press conferences, Frank Drebin came out and said, yeah, so they took some time.
Frank Drebin references.
Yeah, they took some time to look around. They started calling people. It's not that long a period of time. It was 7 minutes. That's the new timetable. When they put up the new timetable, they're still saying, by the way, somebody from church said she didn't show up. But the new timetable is the family got out to the house and took 7 minutes to call 911. That makes a hell of a lot more sense, because I was losing my mother-loving mind. If it was my mom and I showed up and there's blood on the steps, I'm calling 911 before I get in the house, right? Mom's not at church. There's blood on the front steps. I'm calling 911. But it only took them 7 minutes. And if you think about it, that's a very quick turnaround time. You get there, you see some blood, you walk inside. What did they tell us about that place? You could tell from being inside there that there was a crime that took place. They said on day one, it looked like a crime scene.
You didn't need to go inside. There's blood all over the blood on the steps.
Right?
You would have called 911 before you got inside.
You would think so, right? Johnny Scoville says you'd have called 911 before you got inside. If the kidnapper's close to home, did a family member have her captured? Nikki, this is going to end up being somebody that they know well. Whether or not, hey, Daisy, good to have you here. I don't know whether or not it's going to be a family member. If I had to put some money on it, right? Even given odds, I would put money on the fact that it's a family member. And if I had to put money on it right now, I would say that it is the son-in-law, right? And the reason I would say that is Ashley Banfield doesn't screw up very often. She really doesn't. I think they pushed the media back so that Crims couldn't get, unfortunately, that's not going to work. Roberta, what's happening, my friend? Glad that you are here. I think they pushed the media back so that the Crims, that would be us, couldn't get an eye view from every YouTube channel and media outlet uploading every single thing that happens moment to moment. It's all very Black Mirror. They also shut down the entire street, right? They shut down the entire street. They didn't want anybody getting close. Here's something else I find very distressing. You know what they announced yesterday, Johnny Scoville?
What did they announce, Tommy?
They announced that they're going door to door asking people if maybe they could get a look at the Ring Cam or the Nest cameras. Now, I've said this before because I lived in the Catalina foothills. You buy in the Catalina foothills because you're going to drive up and you don't have to see people go by your house. The driveways are a good piece off of the road. You don't have to hear cars going by. It's a very kind of, it makes it feel like you're not there, right? Like you're back off of everything.
Your driveways are there for a reason.
Correct. The only people, just now. What the deuce took you so long to come up with this idea? And you want to hear my theory on this?
What's your theory, Thomas?
Because I'm going to tell you. My theory is this. 30 hours into this, two things happened. 30 hours, right? Both of them happened almost at the exact same time. One of them is old Frank Drebin said, we're going to be calling off the search. If that's my mom and 30 hours in, you're calling off the search, I'm storming down to that office and I'm stomping a mud puddle in your chest, right? Why are you cutting off a search for an 84-year-old woman at hour 30? Doesn't make any sense, right? It just doesn't. There was absolutely no reason for that. You know what else they did at 30 hours?
Tell me.
They also opened the crime scene back up. Carrington says false flag. You know, you can't say false flag, Johnny Scoville. That gets you demonetized.
There you go.
There you go. There's one more you can't say. Here's why I don't think this is a false flag. This is way too intricate to be a false flag, right? Michael Douglas, good to see you. This is way too intricate. Like, you don't need this for a false flag. We've been doing false flags forever. We're good at it. You don't need to create a victim. You don't need to do all of these things. Barney Fife, not bad. Not bad. You know what? Yeah, Barney Drebin. Not bad, man, for real. They opened it up 3 times, says Taylor Miller. They did. But the first time they opened it up was at hour 30. They also quit friggin' looking for her. So what happened at hour 30? Now, you want my theory?
What's your theory?
I'm going to give it to you anyway. My theory is this. At hour 30, they got a letter. They got a letter at hour 30, right? They got the first correspondence of some kind. Because when they came out and made the first statement to the kidnappers, they hadn't communicated with them yet. They said, it's way too easy. Carrington, no problems. I like a good theory. Hi, Tommy, working my way back to Pennsylvania to get on sub shot.
Another thing.
Unfortunately, Greyhound misconnection bus.
Have you ever seen an intersection that didn't have cameras ever in Tucson?
Hey, can we get some ones for Rox? Rox is on her way back to get sober. God bless you, babe. What's that?
We live there. Did you ever see an intersection ever in Tucson?
There are 200. There are 200 license plate readers and red light cameras in Tucson, Arizona.
They know so much more than they're telling us.
Do I think the longer that she's gone, the more likely it is she's dead? I think she's already dead. I'm not trying to bum anybody out. And I'm praying nonstop. I am praying nonstop that she's not dead. But I did a little research and I said, if you just got a pacemaker installed, can you list the drugs that you would have to take? There were 6 of them. My father was a gentleman that had a pacemaker / defibrillator, same kind of rig that Nancy Guthrie has in her chest. There is a litany of drugs you have to take. One of them is a blood thinner, right? Like a warfarin or a...
all of them keep you alive.
Yeah, all of these are necessary to keep you alive. If you're not taking Coumadin or you're not taking warfarin or you're not taking something that is really going to thin out your blood, then you start to run into trouble. And a lot of people who have pacemakers had AFib. This is going to cause all kinds of clotting, and it tends to cause strokes. So you take a medication for that. Then you take a statin. Then you take, there's so many friggin' drugs, propranolol, I can't say it right. But they listed all of these drugs. I had it in my head when I first heard this. Well, she's got to take this, and she's got something for pain. And then I was talking to Johnny Scoble about it. He's like, Dad used to take 12 or 13 pills a day, right? She's not getting any of these. And what did we hear on day 1? If she doesn't get this medication in 24 hours, she's going to be dead.
A week's gone by. She's still alive.
A week has gone by. Why are they not showing us proof of life? This is a business, right? This is a business. If you're not going to show me that you have my mother, I'm not going to pay you, right? It's simple as that. This goes back to the very first person that ever kidnapped anyone. 9 Timmy says, and it makes sense, took them 6 days to look at her car. Took them 6 days to go door to door, my brother. Like, this makes no sense, man.
That's all.
Elderly people are high maintenance, right? No joke. They are really high maintenance.
Gary takes 11 pills for the exact same thing. Go figure.
You know what? I love that, Twyla. The HOAs in rural communities must now install or at least main security gates with cameras. Yeah, that would be good. Here's why they don't do it in Tucson. In 1972, Tucson decided that, especially in the Catalina foothills, when you look up at night and you see the Finger Mountains behind you and you see all of this stuff, they wanted to be able to see the stars. So the street that I lived on, as you drove down the street, the last 25 houses had lights down at the base of them. But none of the other ones on the street did. I don't know what the legality was with that, but they dimmed. Like, they would come on, and then at 9 o'clock, as it started getting darker out, they dim. It illuminates the street, but it illuminates them this much. They go out of their way to not mess with nature. The reason that those houses are set up the way that they are in Tucson, same rules going back to 72. You want to build there? Go ahead. But you're going to have to get an acre or two and then build in the middle of it, because they didn't want a neighborhood that was going to stop all of the animals in the Catalina foothills from getting where they were going. I think that's a beautiful thing. Coyotes, roadrunners, there's javelinas, bobcats, and we saw all of them every day living there. I'm not kidding you. You see them every day. Yeah, they stargaze a lot. I know it sounds ridiculous, right? It really does, but they don't want light pollution. Oh my God, I'm thrilled to see you this morning. I wait with bated breath. Oh, well, that's nice. Yeah, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. So if you're new here, hit subscribe and hit the bell for notification, because I go live a lot. I'm a YouTuber, Johnny Scoville. I'm a freaking YouTuber. The joke behind that is that for the first 4,000 videos, I never told anybody to hit subscribe, hit the thumbs up, hit the bell for notification. But I'm a YouTuber now.
It took me 7 years.
It took Johnny Scoville 7 years. It's extremely dangerous going cold turkey off of any life maintaining. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And by the way, I talk a lot about drugs. I am a recovered heroin addict. I spent a lot of time doing dope, 3 decades. So I talk a lot about dope. And I will tell people all the time, if you quit, hey, Kathy, if you quit alcohol or you quit benzos cold turkey, it can kill you. Don't do that. Don't quit anything without talking to your doctor. However, I also say if you quit pacemakers, it's going to feel like you're going to die, but you're not going to. It's very rare that somebody dies kicking heroin, right, or kicking an opiate. But if there is a comorbidity, if there's something else, you have another diagnosis like a bad heart, this woman could not do without pain meds if she's addicted to them. The daughter said she's in excruciating pain without her medication.
Withdrawal at that age?
Withdrawal at that age would kill her. I'm sorry, it would. If there's a pacemaker, can't they look at the spikes on the pacemaker? She could have had a spike because of the kidnapping. She did. We know for a fact that she had a spike because when they first went into the house, her pacemaker was still connecting. And by connecting, don't think about it like your cell phone. Your cell phone pings the towers, right? But your cell phone's got a battery you've got to charge every 8 hours. The pacemaker has a battery that's going to last 5 to 15 years. It's putting out very little juice. Honestly, very little juice. So it doesn't have a transmitter that's going to hit towers. They can't triangulate where you are on your pacemaker. However, it can go to the phone. This is why we know when she disconnected from that phone. She got far enough away from it. It's like your what are those things called? Earpods. AirPods. I knew that. When an AirPod gets far enough away from your phone, it disconnects, right? It's the same shit. This is just a Bluetooth hookup, but it's not a very strong one. You know, people go, once they get her out of the house, they'll be pinging off of towers. No, they won't. No, they won't. They don't have that kind of connectivity. 19, Timmy says she probably did not leave the house alive, sadly. I think there might be something to that. Why not show proof of life, right? Why not? Now, this could be a false flag thing. I mean, it could be. But it seems to me like it's a hell of a lot of effort for that, right? I mean, what did Clinton do after he got the mouth hug? And just bomb somebody, right? Just start dropping bombs on Mogadishu or something. It doesn't have to be this intricate. What makes you pick Savannah Guthrie and then go after her mom? Like, this is bizarre if it's a false flag. It doesn't make any sense to me.
And it wasn't a home invasion where they accidentally killed her and decided to take the body.
This is a big one that people keep saying. This is a home invasion that went wrong. I am a retired criminal. I spent a lot of time in federal and state prison. Nobody that does home invasions does it in the middle of the night. If you're a person that does home invasions, you are absolutely looking to make sure people are not asleep, right? Because you don't know who's in what bedroom, and people sleep with pistols. You'd like to catch them when they're at the dinner table. You'd like to catch them at 10 o'clock in the morning when they just woke up, they're having coffee, reading the newspaper in their, in their skivvies. So you can go in and go, don't move, but you're not going in the middle of the night.
Or around 11:30 before noon.
Right? I think she could be gone since they won't show proof of life. Yeah, I'm with you, right? But here's, Cape Cod or bust. Love that. Says, if I'm not convinced it has anything to do with Savannah, I'm going to disagree on this, right? If it doesn't have anything to do with Savannah, then we have to think this is random. No one's going to randomly break into a house at 2 o'clock in the morning. That's a bad time for a criminal to break into a house. It just is. It's how you get shot. You don't know whether there's an alarm system that's going to go off. And then you got 30 seconds to get out of there? They knew about the alarm systems. They stayed there for 40 friggin' minutes, right? They knew what was going on inside that house intimately. What do we got here? Good afternoon, all. Look at that beautiful puppy. Both of the son-in-laws have questionable friends and history. I might argue that one of them does. I'm not a fan of the Clintons, but the fact that the guy worked for them, I don't think is really much of a problem. But I find, look, just from a criminal's point of view, an ex-criminal, there's no chance in hell you go into a house that you don't know what you're going to find at 2 o'clock in the morning, right? You just don't. And as far as the people sending, this is the other popular theory right now. Look at her here. These ransom notes are BS, right? There's no truth to the ransom note. Don't touch her. I might film her. There's no truth whatsoever to the ransom notes. They're just making this up to get paid. They told TMZ and the other outlets that they send it to, K-Gun, which is a ABC affiliate, and KOLD, I'm sorry, which is the CBS affiliate in, look at this, just real briefly. Look at that. Huh? That's my research assistant.
She's growing every day.
Yeah, that's my research assistant. She is a Maine Coon cat that we transplanted from the United States to Ecuador.
About 4 feet long.
She's a big kitty. But here's the deal. There's no chance in hell they could tell them where the watch was. They said that there were some broken lights on the side of the house. You can see that, right? There have been helicopter flybys. You can see that. We know that she didn't take her smartwatch with her. There are pictures of her with mom, Savannah Guthrie with mom, where she has on a smartwatch. That, and if somebody has a pacemaker, there's a decent chance they got a smartwatch, right? Because they're less likely. Yeah, so it just kind of makes sense. But apparently it wasn't left on the nightstand. They're not letting this information out. But it wasn't left somewhere logical. And whoever sent these letters knew that. Here's something else you're going to find interesting. Those letters didn't go out all at the same time. We were kind of led to believe that, right? You did believe that. Put a 3 in the chat if that's what you thought. It did not go down that way. So this is what really happened. They said they sent a letter to KOLD, right, of Tucson, and then they sent one to KGUN, KGUN, also of Tucson. And they said, Lynn, I'm going to get to it, I promise. Then they waited 12 hours and hit up Harvey Levin. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to put 2 and 2 together on this. The first 2 people that they sent this to, the first 2 news groups, didn't run with it. They didn't tell the world about it.
Right.
If you're, and everyone can go, that screams false flag, right? Why would they then hit TMZ? They knew TMZ was going to go public. This is a false flag. 19 Timmy says they wanted attention. Yeah, but why did they want attention? Right? You could say false flag. Lynn says, why Harvey? Because Harvey's sure as shit going to run with it. He doesn't have a soul. Are you kidding me?
It's just black and small like a cute thread edge.
Yeah, exactly. He has cloven feet, right? He carries a hay fork. He's red and scaly, and he's got horns. He is just not a good person. I'm sorry. But, yeah, Harvey blurted it right out. That's who he is, Bailey. So, I think that they went with it. So, one of 2 directions. It's a false flag. They want the whole world talking about it, right? Doesn't make a lot of sense if you're a kidnapper to have the whole world looking for you and talking about you. But the other option is they thought they were going to get around how everyone gets caught. Criminal talking to you again. You can kidnap somebody and there's only 2 shots you got to get and caught. If you get out of the house with the person you're kidnapping, you're halfway home. But that's not where most kidnappers get caught, right? Most kidnappers get caught exchanging the money.
Isn't it like doing ransom? Isn't it like hijacking a plane at this point? It's so pointless.
It's pointless. In the United States. In other countries, 70% of kidnappings outside the United States are successful. That's no shit. But inside the United States, everything is on film. Your car, right, is making phone calls to the towers as you're driving around. Your phone is tracking you everywhere you go. There are, just in Tucson, 200 license plate readers, red light cameras. Go ahead.
The best laid plans.
The best laid plans. Now, you go, 200 cameras? That doesn't sound like much. They're at Circle K, pulling video, right? How many other Circle Ks are there along the route? Once you figure out the route that these people went, you can go and pull every ATM machine, every restaurant, every convenience store that has a camera on the outside. It's not designed to pick up traffic. It's designed to pick up the parking lot. But they inadvertently get it all the time.
Taylor.
What did Taylor say?
Is Johnny an ex-criminal too?
No, Johnny's still a criminal, but that's a hell of a question. Yeah, Johnny was an ex-criminal. The ransom note feels like a setup. I think the FBI is the source, buying time and steering the public away from what is the kidnapping really is. This looks international to me, and it feels like headed toward a prisoner exchange. Interesting.
That's an angle I've not heard yet.
That's a really interesting angle. Here's the thing that kind of throws that off, in my opinion. And they won't say what it is, but think of the town you're in, okay? Think of the town you're in. We'll pull one off the top of my head, right? Houston, Texas. There are people that call the thing that goes around the city a spur, right? So you got the streets that go all the way through. And then you have in Reno, Nevada, you have the McCarran Loop, right? They have these things that go around the city. In Houston, it's called the 610 Loop. But if you're from out of town, you're not going to call it that. They said there were things in the letter that led them to believe that these people were intimately aware of what where they were in Tucson. They said some things that only native Tucsoners would say. Now, you could do some research, right? You could. I think the FBI, if they did this, is opening up an unbelievable shitstorm to allow this many people to start crawling up your ass. Because let's be honest, I'm sitting here talking to 318 people. You know how many other channels are out talking to 1,000 people, 2,000 people? We are putting a bunch of eyes and a bunch of people that are intelligent as hell that are going to come up with theories. I don't think this is necessarily a bad one.
You know what, Mud Cup? That is critical thinking right there.
That is critical thinking. And I'll tell you what's fascinating to me about this. If we had not been lied to by our government every 10 minutes from the day we were born, we would look at this and go, come on, that's stupid.
This day and age, a ransom seems like misdirection almost.
It just seems so stupid, man. How are you going to think you're going to pull off? But to think that they don't have any suspects or any persons of interest, don't buy that. For those of you who are into true crime, and I know that most of you are, right? Here's one of those things. When Brian Kohberger was getting busted, they did a press conference the day of his arrest and said, no suspects, no persons of interest. They already had his DNA. They had removed it off of the snap, if you remember, from the sheath. They already knew where he bought the knife. They already knew he had left his. They're gonna lie to us, right? I saw somebody yesterday that came out and on one of the big networks, one of the actual news channels, and the guy came out and said they said that there was no security backup, so that they can't see what's going on. They should never tell the criminals that. They should sweat them. I happen to think that they're bullshitting because they want them to let their guard down. Yeah, see this? Occam's razor is a problem-solving principle that suggests the simplest explanation. Yeah, really what it says is after you get rid of all the dumb shit, what's left over, right? There are going to be some ridiculous things. The Nick Reiner case, I talked about this yesterday. I covered that a lot. And there are people that are saying, oh, it's the Trump CIA that killed Rob Reiner. That's more logical than his drugged out, mentally ill son who whacked him, who's been acting absolute batshit crazy for the last 15 years. I think that's probably more logical. And I tend to go with the Occam's razor theory.
Yep, I do too.
She was bleeding when she left the house, so her heart was still pumping. Not necessarily. Hate to sound like the criminal again, but if you ventilate someone in the back of the skull, and I'm not saying she was shot or anything like that. Pete Taylor, good to see you. People bleed for a while if there's a hole in them, right? Especially if you're on blood thinners. This is the scariest part to me. My father, right, Papa Scoville, cut his leg getting into my Prius one day. Just barely touched the door to his shin, but he was a very old man, and his skin, he was in his 80s. His skin got to be like paper mache,
like rice paper. And
it just tore like a rolling paper, right? Like a zigzag, cut corner, extra wide. But anyway, he started to bleed, and he literally bled for like 5 days. We were putting bandages on it. They have to thin your blood so much for those devices to work properly that this is really going to be tough. This incompetence will go down in history of what not to do. I got to agree with Glenn on this one, man.
Unless it's total misdirection.
How did they get her out of the house without anybody noticing? Timmy, this is a good question, and I'm glad that you asked it, right? But the reason they were able to get her out of the house is the Catalina foothills. And this is where the wealthier folk in Tucson want to live, because you're not in the city. You're literally, your elevation is like 1,000 feet higher than what you're going to be downtown. It's considerably colder, and you're at the foothill of the mountain, right? So they'll take 5 acres or 3 acres or 2 acres, depending on how much you buy. They put your house in the middle of it, right? So the rest of it, animals can go by and everything else. So taking her away from that house, you couldn't see her front door from the street. That's usually the way it is in most of the Catalina foothills.
You didn't see her house from the street.
Usually, yeah, our house you couldn't see from the street. You couldn't even see the roof of our house from the street. And we didn't live in as nice a neighborhood.
Right.
I mean, she's off of Campbell. That's really high rent district. Thank you, Cape Cod or Bust. That is so kind. I appreciate the hell out of that. You know what? These super chats keep you going. Say again?
Stop saying stuff like false flag. It would be necessary.
That's right. If I stopped saying stuff like false flag, I wouldn't need those. Johnny Scoville. What about the coyotes there? There are a lot of coyotes. I've never seen them go after people. They will eat pets. You hear about that all the time. And you do hear them at night. They hunt in packs, but I've never heard about them going after people. If they did, they would leave plenty of people behind.
Right.
They would. Because there are plenty of person behind. They're not going to eat all of that. They would have left. And allegedly, they've got cadaver dogs. They've got everything. Now, they didn't after 30 hours. They stopped it cold turkey. My theory is they got a letter. It showed the mother, but they thought this could be AI. The first thing they came out with, they said, in the days of AI, why say that? Why say that in your first correspondence with the kidnappers? Why would you come out and say, AI is what we're worried about? You got to show us a real proof of my mom, because video and audio could be faked. Normally what they would do is they would reach out to the person. So I'm the kidnapper. I reach out to you and I say something like, hey, did you have a nickname as a kid? Right? Because your mom said that they used to call you Guguts. Is that your nickname? Because no one's going to know that but my mom, right? There's no chance. So normally there's this kind of communication, but if you're not communicating with the people who are supposed to pay you, you either suck at this, right? Or she's already dead. And you can't ask that question of her because she's dead. You can't take a picture of her. Now, I'll tell you something else, man.
And every day that goes by without a proof of life is just confirmation for me.
This theory has crossed my brain. Olympics involve many countries. Savannah getting ready to cover the Olympics. All other things. Yeah. I turned this channel on for 3 minutes and see Nancy in a prison swap laughing my effing ass off. Then the CIA killed the film director. Look, I was talking about conspiracy theories, you jackwagon. I wasn't saying that there was any truth to that. If you paid attention, you're too stupid to be here. If you got a wrench, get rid of this jackwagon. Really?
Yep.
Oh, then it's probably somebody we already blocked. Oh, I hate idiots. Where's my phone? Brock Bandy, Villa Boy. Get rid of him. Do you and Johnny have other siblings? We do. We do. We definitely have other siblings, and we need to because, they had to have kin to be proud of. Well, my brother was not incarcerated, Brenda Lewis. I was the only of the four that ever went to prison. I was a bank robber.
Went to jail a lot.
Yeah, Johnny spent some time in jail, though. When they took her car, I was afraid she might be in the trunk. I think a lot of people might have thought that. But here's the thing. Do you remember how we talked about yesterday? They said the door, they know the garage door opened, and 2 minutes later, the garage door shut. They said they know that because it was on camera, which I think is odd, right? Because allegedly it would be recording over all that unless there was some kind of a backup. But maybe they saw the person go in and put a hand on the car. Maybe there was something that happened inside there that led them to believe that the kidnappers, right, if there are kidnappers, touched that car. Who knows?
What about camera on the roof?
Oddly enough, as many of you probably saw because you guys are into this, they also took a camera off of the roof today. They said it was from an internal ticker on the garage door. Timmy, that was the second thing they said. Right? On the first timeline, it said it was caught on a security camera. But they've been doing this with everything, right? The first thing they said was after she played mahjong, she was dropped off by her daughter. Then she was dropped off by the son-in-law. Now they're saying family. They also said, I'm terribly sorry. I really am. I never claimed to be a good person. I really, honestly, watch my show. 4,000 videos. I've never once claimed to be a good person. Do me a favor, hit the subscribe button. Hit that thumbs up. Do you know why, Johnny Scoville?
Tell me why.
Because I'm a YouTuber. And I'm going to say a lot of things that are going to make sure they don't push these videos out. I like to be able to.
At some point, they're going to stop not pushing and start shadow banning.
I think that's already happened.
I wonder that, to be honest with you. Because you're one of the few that are actually talking reality.
You keep saying that that no one does a home invasion in the middle of the night. But don't meth heads make totally irrational decisions? Yeah, but this was not a totally irrational decision. I mean, it may have been a shit idea, but this was not carried out by people that seemed to be wildly out of their head.
So I can't see that person either.
It's bizarre to me. You're 30 seconds behind.
No.
It's bizarre to me that they spent 40 minutes inside that house, right? That's really bizarre to me. It's bizarre to me that in 40 minutes of being in that house, they said nothing was stolen. If these were meth heads, everything in that house would have been stolen, and a couple of things would have been taken apart. And a couple of things would have been taken apart. Where are the mods, man? That's a decent question. You can still be proud of your child that has gone to prison. Yeah, well, thank you, Renee. That's a nice thing to say.
See the names of the people being assholes.
Well, isn't that something?
Then
I need to get somebody else. Got to replace your ass with a new mod.
Right.
I don't think that this is a meth head. Meth heads do stupid things, but I'll tell you something right now. Having done a decent amount of time in my life, about 13 years. Yeah, about 13 years. Most of the people that I met that did home invasions were robbing drug dealers, right? Every once in a while, you'd come across somebody who was dumb enough where they got a YouTube channel and they show one watch after another that's $60,000, right? Check this one out. I paid 400 grand for this one. And someone in the town goes, holy shit, dude, that's 65 watches worth 50 grand a piece. We're going in, right? You could melt them down and still make it a lick. But most of the time, they're going in for drugs. Why? Because the person you're going in on can't call 911 if they're a drug dealer. Yeah, you know what, Henry? This isn't a bad thought. 40 minutes, maybe they were putting some pills in a baggie to take with them because truthfully and honestly, they change medications. You get different prescriptions, different doctors. When my dad died, we threw out a Glad 3-ply full of bags, of just pills. There were so many pills that had been left over. Allegedly, one of Nancy's meds left behind was fentanyl. Why not steal it? I didn't hear that. I have not heard that. But I'll tell you something. They would have taken fentanyl. If I had to guess, it would have been in a patch form. They don't usually give alpha fentanyl. It's not the same thing as what's on the street. On the street's called fentanyl, but it isn't fentanyl. It's an analog of fentanyl. The real shit's called alpha fentanyl. It's very stable compared to the stuff on the street. You're far less likely to overdose on it. Has anyone counted the pills in their bottle? Would have been a great idea, truthfully and honestly. But I'll tell you something else. They kept telling us that the original, but they bullshit us about everything. The original 3 ransom notes, right, that were sent out, they said they couldn't track an IP address on. Now, they could be trying to lie to the street, but I want to show you something. I want to tell you something. This is no BS. When they start crawling up your ass, when the feds start going through stuff, they're going to find out that IP address. I don't care how many different ways you try to clock it or hide it or do whatever, they're going to find you, right? Unless you do it from a stolen device. That's the ultimate, is to do it. Hey, Rue, the ultimate is to do it from a stolen device. What if the 40 minutes they were in the house, they were using her computer? But we don't know, because at first they said they received an email. What happened yesterday, either they wanted to be more honest about or it's a different method, but these aren't emails. They're going to KOLD's site, the CBS site, and there's a place where you can piss and moan, right? And they ask you to enter your name, enter your birthday, enter, and what you're complaining about. They went in there as if they were, hey, dear management, I'm tired of this guy on the sports show. And they entered it that way. They said that the style of speech, and I'm sure they bring in some linguistic expert for this, but they said the style of speech was identical. I wonder if they checked the fridge for medication. Mop man, you would think in 40 plus minutes, right, that they checked everything. But if they didn't take fentanyl, we can rule out dope fiends, right? We can even rule out casual partiers. To me, again, the kidnapping part of it, the actual walking out the front door, with the exception of her bleeding, seems fairly professional, right? But by way of full disclosure, 2 things. Number 1, this is the driest environment on earth. If you've never lived in Tucson, you cannot imagine how dry it is. There is no moisture in the air whatsoever. It is oppressively hot most of the time, although this is the winter, be about 70, 80 degrees. Beautiful time of the year there. But it's drier than a popcorn fart. So very often with people, nosebleeds happen to everybody. The older you get, the more likely that nosebleed is to be a little bit easier to be brought on. Just jostling her to get out of bed could have caused the woman to bleed. Bumping her up against a wall. At 84, we're very susceptible to our skin tearing. So we don't know that they beat the piss out of her. That's kind of been the narrative. Here's the thing. Somebody just said this, these guys aren't rocket scientists. The kidnapping part, they seem to do pretty well, right? I mean, I know they're lying to us. I know they're tracking the vehicle. I know that they've got...
So bad it seems like misdirection.
It's so bad it almost seems like misdirection, says Johnny Scoville. And there's something to that. She had on bandages for skin tears in regular photos. Good eye. And that's the truth. On legs and arms. It's something that happens all the time. What kind of jewelry was she wearing in the Uber? Well, Zelda, they have tracked down the Uber driver, talked to them, and apparently there was nothing, there was no meat on the bone there at all. But I'm not even sure if it's Uber. right? They lie constantly. They're not giving us any truth. If I had to go out on a limb, somebody said this yesterday in my chat, and I think it's got way more logic to it. Why in hell would somebody whose daughter is worth $45 million, why would she be calling Uber? Like, she doesn't have a driver? Honestly, it would make way more sense that she had a personal driver. Maybe she doesn't, right? And maybe she didn't have a subscription for the cameras, because that 19 a month was killing a woman living in the Catalina foothills. Are you shitting me? Like, none of this makes sense. Ashley Banfield dropped the suspicion of the son-in-law on day 3. It is now day 7. If he was involved, wouldn't he have confessed by now and told them where they were holding her? We don't even know, right? We don't even know that they have interrogated him. Normally,
the name of one of his albums?
Yeah. Normally, the FBI comes in and says, all of you, we're going to have a quick meeting. You're first. Get in that room. We're going to take a lie detector test. We're going to take a polygraph just so that we can eliminate you. Because right now we got 100 officers. Do you want 5 of them chasing down the family? Then let's take a polygraph test. It's not admissible in court, but it will at least let us say it's not you and we can move on to the next one. They didn't do that. This has been a shit show from day one. And it leads me to believe that at hour 30, they thought she's not missing. She's kidnapped, right? At hour 30, they called off the search.
You made a good point, though. Like the Kohlberger, they may know exactly.
Right. No, they're not going to tell us what they know. Kohlberger is the greatest example of that. They did a press conference, just hours before they arrested him, and said there's no suspect. They know that these people are watching, right? Now, a lot of the people that do what I do, the pundits, the guys that weigh in on this shit, they're all saying they got to be really familiar because they knew to call KOLD. They knew to call K-gun. Like, I'm not trying to be a dick, but how hard would it be to go into AI? What's the NBC, ABC, and CBS affiliate in Tucson, Arizona? Like, this isn't rocket science. It really isn't. Polygraph tests aren't very accurate. No, they're not. I agree with you. I know people that have beat them routinely. But nevertheless, man, you're still going to do something to try to eliminate people. It's better than just saying to the son-in-law, hey, were you involved in this? No? Okay. Appreciate you. It at least puts somebody in a chair and makes them sweat, right? What's that? Yeah. He's got a serious beard, doesn't he? Did you get a look at that beard? Good God, man. Hold on. Let me see if I got a picture of this cat. Not sure whether or not I still got it on here, but he is something to look at. Check this out. Get a look at that beard, man. I'd like to catch a thread count on that. Seriously, got to have a very serious thread count. It's like 75,000 hairs per square inch. I'm not mad at him. I'm Italian too. But tell you what, if it's not him, boy, oh boy, is he going to be pissed at Ashley Banfield. Huh? For real. A lot of old people have serious back pain issues and that sort of thing. So they have pain meds on hand. And the daughter said, use the word excruciating. She said that she would be in excruciating pain if she didn't have her medication.
Inspectors.
See that? See that? Inspectors got, solid.
Right? Thinker right there.
Yep. Maybe that's why the police stated the Ring camera has no subscription, nothing to see here, in order to make goons think that they aren't onto them. I agree with you. I've been saying this from Jump Street. Dixon. It's a little Talibanish. I'm sorry, it is. If on Eliquis blood thinners, lots of blood easily every day. Yeah. And there's a good chance, and honestly, Rue, that's a great comment. Kevin Hawthorne, Lakeland, Florida. Good to see you, my brother.
The blood thinner is probably the most important drug you're taking.
There's a good chance, if you've spent any time around drugs, sadly, I spent some time around drugs, but when there is something new that comes out, they push really hard to get the doctors to push it. Coumadin has been around forever. Warfarin, you can get these things off label and you pay pennies a pill, right? Because once something has gone to generic, you don't have to pay for it. Eliquis, anything that's just come out, that's how the doctors get a free trip to the Bahamas so that they can be trained on the proper use of Eliquis. In the old days, they used to hand them an envelope full of money. You can't do that anymore. Now you take them out to really good lunches, or you say, we're doing a training on Eliquis. We're going to be doing it in Paradise Island, the Bahamas, for 2 weeks. Please bring your wife and kids. And bring your sticks if you play golf, right? It's just another way to hustle the system. But I would bet the farm that more likely it's Eliquis than something like warfarin, right? And there's going to be, 6 or 7 other. Warfarin is rat poison. That's no lie either.
It's true.
It literally is rat poison. As crazy as that sounds, I'm not joking. It really is. I'll say it again. The son-in-law is suspicious. Yeah, looks can be deceiving. I mean, check this out. Honest opinion. Do I look like a bank robber to you? Right? I got away with it for a really long time because I didn't really look the part. And don't say I did. Don't say other words. She's 84-year-old. Someone needs to make sure mom's security is up to date. She needs her meds. I agree with you. Look at that. Slocum says polygraph scare dumb people into confessing. A lot of truth to that, man. A lot of truth to that. They might even say there was a white van when there isn't one to make goons think the police are on the wrong track. It's chess, not checkers. You know what, Inspector? I don't know what you did last night, but you're bringing a much better game today. I'm just busting his balls because yesterday he disagreed with me.
I watched that.
Yeah. I agree with you. Somebody should have been taking better care of her, but I think we're seeing more misinformation than you can read about.
Amen.
Yesterday, Frank Drebin was doing an interview. It was not one of the press releases, right? This is the sheriff, right? Jack Wagon, like the guy from Police Academy. KOLD, kidnapped old. Wow. Too soon. Too soon. No, from what I understand, the son-in-law is not missing. They know where he is. They're keeping an eye on him. But he was doing an interview yesterday, and somebody said to him, was there forced entry or was there not? Because they've told us both sides of that. And he goes, oh, well, we're not gonna comment on that. And he goes, no, but I'm saying you've said it both ways. Which one is it? And he said, we're not going to give out any information that would help with that. I don't know what the hell that means. I thought all bank robbers had giant sacks with dollar signs on them. That is normally how we dress. You nailed it. I did see where Annie is like a Wiccan. That makes sense why they are married. Well, I'll tell you what, and new sub, I love that. Thank you, Linda. Here's the other thing. Mom is insanely religious, right? She's very, very Christian.
You could pass for a branch manager.
That's probably why I got away with so many of them. And I should have gone around the back. I had friends that used to do that. I had friends that used to go and be like, they would walk in with a clipboard and shit and go around and hit what they call the manager's safe. I was lucky to get 18 grand a whack. I was just in and out. Would Granny get up in the middle of the night to open the door, even if she knew the person? I think she would, man.
Only if she knew.
But only if she did. See, I'm basing this on my mom. If my mom heard a knock at the door, and I won't say the name of her grandkids, but if one of them, we'll use Chad, because that's not one of the names. But if somebody went there and said, hey, mom, it's Chad, she'd be at that door in 2 seconds.
Amen.
They would also know exactly what window to go to. They didn't have to bang on the door. They could have gone to her bedroom window, given it one of these and said, hey, it's Chad. Let me in. I just wrecked my car down the street. But churches do love money. There's no question. But I don't think the churches did this. But I see, look, if I'm a hardcore Christian, and I am a believer in God, I am a Christian. But if I'm a hardcore Christian and I'm going to church every single Sunday and my kid is a Wiccan, to me, it isn't going to be a different type of religion. It's going to be Satan. You know what I mean? It's going to be one of those things that really freaks out a woman that's life seems to revolve around Christianity. She has written books. He's Mr. Clean. Do me a favor. There's 450 in here. Do me a favor. Smack that like button. Hit subscribe. Catch that bell for notification. Because if you do, you're going to get me more times today. I go live 2 or 3 times a day. Talk about a lot of true crimes. I'm a YouTuber. Johnny Scoville. I am a YouTuber. Linda says it's creepy. Yeah, I try not to judge anybody's religion, even if it is creepy and satanic. I'm kidding. If you're a Wiccan, don't send me hate mail. I won't read it. This is a great question. Would they check self-storage facilities and weekend gig workers, landscape roofers who have primary jobs? Yeah, see, this is a great concept. Manager at unoccupied buildings, sewage pump. God help us. It's like looking in an older mirror.
Well, that's a mean thing to say.
Only 165 likes? Brock, start passing among these people with a bat. The neighbor said it was pitch black, 131. And I was there for the gem show. Oh, is that not the greatest gem show in the world? I don't know if you go to a lot of them, but that is the gem show.
Well, it draws millions of people.
Yeah, that is the best
Is it
gem.
a week-long thing?
It's a long time. That's the best gem show on planet Earth. It's interesting that Savannah interviewed Virginia Guthrie. You know, here's the deal on that. It is interesting, right? Savannah did not buy the house. Oh, you're talking about, I'm sorry, you're not talking about her mom's house. You're talking about her sister's house? Because the mother's house she's had forever. It's interesting that Savannah interviewed Virginia Guthrie. There are a lot of people, right? A lot of people that interviewed a lot of people from the Epstein case. If we start drawing those lines, it starts getting friggin' insane. Also, people say, and I got 50 comments, I kid you not, from yesterday that said, this is, absolutely about Epstein because Savannah Guthrie is in the Epstein files. If I say right now, hey, right, look at this. It's Sean Knock 1. It's like saying he's on the lifeboat files. They literally just said, do you think we could reach out to somebody like Savannah Guthrie or somebody like they've got over at TMZ, Harvey Levin? It doesn't mean they were molesting kids. It doesn't mean they were aware of the fact. It means that they were huge influencers who they thought might be kind to their cause. Why? Because he probably met her at some point, right? This guy went to every big function. He had nothing but money. Wicca is the religion, Myra Myrtle, of her daughter Annie is not a Christian. Allegedly, she's a Wiccan. Allegedly. What's the motive of a family member? They have to know that they will not get away with it. Here's the thing. Every asshole that commits a crimes like this thinks that they're going to get away with it, right? I've never met a criminal. And by the way, I've met a lot of criminals. And some of us, like the last job we do, we get that feeling like, oh shit, this one might go bad. But as a criminal, there's a decent chance you're going to get caught. This isn't a criminal, right? This is someone committing a crime. There are people who commit crimes for a living. You spend 10, 20 years breaking the law every day. It's what you do. And you learn to think like a criminal. People that do this kind of stuff, find me somebody that's on their second kidnapping, right? There are no kidnappers who go, yeah, this is my fourth. Outside the United States, they are, right? But inside the United States, everybody gets caught on the first one. So there aren't any pros. I believe the ransom hacker is a demented person touching the family for sick kicks. If so, they got to have somebody on the inside, right? Because allegedly they said that they knew exactly where the smartwatch was. And it wasn't like on mom's nightstand, which would have been logical as shit. Apparently it had been left someplace really odd, right? But the person that sent those letters knew that. And that's why they're not reading all of the stuff from the letters. They're leaking a little bit out, but that's how they're figuring out which ones of these letters are bullshit and which ones aren't. Because the FBI is taking these seriously, and they're pretty good at chasing down the idiots who are faking it. She deals with Oracle type stuff. I Googled her. I wondered why she was such a champ. Sing again? Well, I do every time I have to say allegedly. It goes way back. I don't get sued for that reason. I got a strange feeling from the brother's video. The way he said mother. Also, he seemed rather bored as he was reading. His eyes showed no emotion. I think that, and I know exactly where you're coming from, Allison. Yeah, I was about to say that, man. He spent too much time in Vermont. Honestly, I think that there's a different affectation from the part of the world that we lived in, number one. And number two, what if he already, I literally, if it were me, I would probably assume my mom was already dead. I would be following through for that letter because my sister is begging me to do it, and I would do it. I love my sister, right? But I think he's probably written off his mother. And sure, there's a part of him that hopes, but this is a guy that was in the military. This is a guy that probably understands evil, right? Sadly, why in the name of God? Her husband did work for the Clintons. Yeah, he's pissed, Mop Man. I think that's the kind of legitimate. I smell a rat too, right? I absolutely smell a rat. But I smell a rat that knew this woman's house, knew this woman's. Now, again, they keep saying, yeah, they keep saying you really would have had to know her schedule. Not if you're going in at 2 a.m. You just have to know the layout from the house. Like, why do you need to know her schedule? 2 a.m., sleeping. It's not really a stretch. That's a really good point too, man. That's a really good point too. Motococo ADV says, Allison, her brother is calm, cool, and collected. Her brother is an F-16 fighter pilot and a veteran hero. He's pissed. I think that there's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah,
And
he also knows the story.
yeah, and he's used to going Mach 2 with his ass on fire while people shoot at him, right? There are people that their ticker doesn't run it the same way that ours does. Thank God, man. I don't think I would have made it, Johnny Scubble. I don't think I would have been a very good fighter pilot. They got that ejection button. I'd be like, screw this. As soon as those bullets started flying, I'd be like, I'm out of here. There's no way. Criminals first convince themselves they can get away with the crime before they commit the crime. Yeah, no, I'd have run like hell, dude. I'd have run like hell. One-on-one, you know what I mean? I square off. I can look at the guy and go, I could probably take him. But you put that big thing around him, and some little guy could take me. I don't want any part of that. I don't want any part of that. This is absolutely a fact. And don't think that the people that planned this didn't sit around and go, this is foolproof. We're not going to contact them directly, right? That's how everybody gets caught. You don't get caught in the process of ripping them off. You get caught on the money exchange. So we're not going to communicate with them. And allegedly, in the first 3 letters, it said, this is our last communication. You're not going to be able to reach out to me, and I'm not going to reach out to you, which makes me wonder why the hell they did another note. But the reason is, in my opinion, just an opinion, there were 2 deadlines on that letter, right? And they didn't say what was going to happen after the first one. Maybe they raised the price because we haven't got the whole letter. What about her medicine? You know what? I don't know whether or not they took it. If you're a friggin' pro, you took it, right? If you are a pro, you absolutely took that medication. Hey, Leslie, because you'd be an asshole not to. Your job is to keep her healthy long enough to prove you got her. That's how you get paid. This is a business transaction. I know that this probably sounds abhorrent, but from a criminal standpoint, this is a business. I stole your mom. I got to prove to you that I got your mom, and I got to make you believe I will bring your mom back. That's your job. Without that, you aren't going to get paid. Do me a favor, people, hit that subscribe button. If they want us to believe she's alive, then we'd also have to believe they're feeding her, giving her water, letting her go to the restroom, giving her medication. Today is Saturday. Yeah, we're working on almost a week. They obviously would have had to have been giving her. Yeah, today's the 7th. They would have had to have been giving her medication. Did Google Earth catch a photo during the crime? I don't think it works that way. I could be wrong, but I know that with satellites, you're going to have to get lined out, right? Even when we're trying to look at something, we kind of have to put the satellite where we want it, right? We have to schedule what's going to happen with it. Because, yeah, they're geosynchronously going around the planet, but they're not doing it necessarily in real time. You know what? Hold on 1 second, people. I got to blow my schnozzle. Down, go to work. Google Earth is older pics, not current, not concurrent and instant. Okay, that's what I thought. Just check on your neighbor. You never know if they need help. I think that's a great idea, honestly. What's the order of the birth for the Guthrie siblings? I believe Annie is the oldest, the brother's the middle, and Savannah is the baby. That is my understanding. How, if you're a kidnapper or a napper, do you successfully collect money without being yeah, here's the thing. You convince yourself of things that you haven't researched enough, right? Like, I'm hearing people that should know better who are saying, nah, you know what? No problem at all. Bitcoin is untraceable. The reason that Bitcoin doesn't get ripped off is because it's unbelievably traceable, right? It's unbelievably traceable. I'm not trying to make this sound oversimplified, but picture trucks going down the road that are jet black and you can't see inside them. If somebody's inside stealing something out of that truck, you never know it. On the blockchain, which is not the same as the internet, everywhere that you're going, there's like a toll booth along the way, and you got to keep signing through that toll booth every single time. On top of that, right, you can see inside. That's what protects it. You wouldn't get away with it simply because it's Bitcoin. That is just stupid. But how would you get away with it? Look, this isn't a crime I would do. Ever, even when I was a criminal. Kidnapping is the dumbest crime on planet Earth. You're not going to get away with kidnapping. Plain and simple, man. You're just not going to get away with it.
It's like hijacking. It doesn't happen.
I check one of my neighbors. They are an old couple, and I check on them once a week. You know what, Kat? You are a good person. See that? Here's somebody else that knows. Bitcoin is traceable. The feds don't want you to know that. You know who you ought to ask? You know what I'm talking about?
You bet.
The guy that what's that? No. The guy that just got busted for the exchange. What was his name? I can't believe I can't remember it. I was talking about him yesterday. Once you move to the Bitcoin to currency, you're done. Yeah. What was the name of that guy? FX exchange. He was in prison in MDX at the same time as Diddy. Look that up, Johnny Scoville. God, I can't believe I can't remember his name. One of you is going to get it. Sam Bankman-Fried. There we go. Myra, thank you for the Sam thing. Crick's doing good so far, not caught yet. They haven't got paid though, right? They haven't got paid, so they're not doing too good, right? They successfully kidnapped an 84-year-old woman in the middle of the night. Look at this. Looking good in green, my man. Looking good in green. Love it, love it, love it. The fact that they got away with the 84-year-old woman in the middle of the night, I don't know that that's success. Again, you have two jobs as a kidnapper. You want to not get caught while you're kidnapping the person you're grabbing. But more importantly, you have to be able to get the money. Like, that's the biggest part. You're not getting paid until there's an exchange, right? I will say there are always inventive individuals that come up with amazing criminal. Yeah, no, there's a lot of truth to that. Is she still alive, says Ashley G. I don't know, man.
The safe money says no.
The safe money probably says no. Inspector says they must be arguing about how to split the money up. An 84-year-old is not an ideal person to kidnap. Boy, God help us. It's the worst thing you could. Again, I'm going to catch so much crap, right? But I'm going to say it anyway. Because from a criminal standpoint, there's a reason they call it kidnapping, right? It's not called adult napping. It's not called senior citizen napping. It's called kidnapping. Ideally, you get a child because they're not going to kick your ass. And if you sit them in front of a Game Boy, what's that?
Did that come from the Lindbergh?
No, there were kidnappings before Lindbergh.
It was always called kidnapping?
But it's been kidnapping because it was usually, you know why? I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm mid-50s, right? I'm telling everybody right now, if I get kidnapped, don't pay those pricks. I don't have enough life left to pay money to.
I wasn't going to.
I knew you would. I appreciate that, though.
Of course.
No, it's who you are. I would have been shocked if you said you would. But if they steal a 6-year-old, you're going, oh my God, that kid's, my whole life is mostly behind me. This kid's whole life is in front of him. I'll do anything to get that kid back. And you drop him in front of a video game system, put a Game Boy in his hand, right? And the kid's not even going to be stressed out. You go over and pet him on the back and go, hey, your parents are taking care of picking you up right now. You got nothing to worry about. Can I get you something to eat? You want some chicken nuggets? McDonald's or Burger King? What do you want? By the time you're getting out of there, they actually like you, right? Stockholm syndrome. An 84-year-old, you're not going to be able to.
Somebody that old ever getting kidnapped.
I tried to find statistics on senior citizen kidnappings. They don't exist. They literally don't exist. That's because nobody kidnaps senior citizens. They continually say over and over again.
Here's the thing. Let's say they did pay.
Hold on one second.
Caught. Would they get their money back?
That's an interesting question. Boxer Canelo's brother got kidnapped for ransom on fight day. They wanted money. They got paid and was released. Give kidnappers the damn money. Here's the problem, though, right? That dude knew that they had his brother. They don't know that these people have the grandmother, right? They don't know that Nancy's alive. You got to do proof of life. We've all seen the movies, right? And the guy holds up the newspaper. It's got today's date on it, right? He's usually sitting on a bathtub in a hotel, right? Or on a toilet with the bath thing behind him. And he's holding up the newspaper. That proves, back in the day, that was proof that this was taken today. You can't fake that newspaper, right? They want proof of life. You cannot pay without proof of life. If you do, 25 swinging dicks are going to send you a request for money the same day. What are you going to do? Pay all of them? If we just keep paying one of these, one of them might bring mom home, right? I know it sounds cold-hearted as shit, but I actually talked to my mother about this. You know, I said, I would pay, Ma, but not before I knew you were there, right? I'm not going to pay somebody that doesn't have you. And I think that in this day and age, right, you kind of got to figure that people can fake anything. AI can fake anything. I want to ask questions of my mom. I want to fire off 5 or 6 questions that only my mom would know.
When I was a missionary, I summoned a release saying that if I get kidnapped, I know they're not going to pay.
Right?
Because it puts a ransom note on every single other missionary.
Do not give cash ever. Getty quote. If he paid the nappers, all of his grandkids would be gone the next day. Well, I'll tell you what, man, there's something to that, right? What does everyone think the motive is? If it's not cash, yeah, if it's not cash, I can't figure it out. Now, allegedly, there have been some arguments between son-in-law and daughter and mom. So keep in mind that the fighter pilot, right, lives in Vermont. The Savannah Guthrie is in New York and is flying all over the world at all times. The only one there is Annie, right? Annie and the son-in-law, the swarthy guy with the huge beard, kind of Taliban-looking fella, right? He's actually Italian, but he does have kind of that Taliban beard thing going on. What's that? Taliban. Oh, I'm going to get hell for that.
At least I won't.
Yeah, exactly. Send that to to Chase the Heat. That's Johnny Scoville's channel. I think that they needed money. And I think that, look, if we just start thinking about this like a normal family, they invited her over to play Mahjong at the house. What if that night, and this is all subjection, but that's what we do in true crime until we know the facts, right? What if they called her over that night and said, hey, you know what? We're kind of hurt. We're kind of in a
I got a crazy idea.
A bit of a pinch for money. Is there any chance you could lend us 25 or 30 grand? No, I'm not lending you guys any money. I've already lent you money. And by the way, if you're ever wondering, is she just living off of her daughter? Allegedly, her husband, when he passed, had an inheritance that he left to his wife. She never remarried, right? But allegedly, she's got her own cash. She's also written some books that are very much religious books. They're Christian books. So, I mean, there's probably some friction between mother and daughter. The daughter's into oracles and, crystals and all of this stuff. And, mom is into Jesus. That's a tough combo, especially when you're the one who's tasked with taking care of mom, right? That's her job.
I bet you she didn't spend $1 in the last 20 years. I bet you the money's coming from Savannah.
It could be. Johnny Scoville says she may have a lot of money, but she thinks that Savannah's paying the bills. She might be. If so, maybe pay that subscription on your friggin' Nest camera. I'm sorry. I think when this all comes out, they may have actually paid that.
I agree. 100%.
Snitch Hunt says she couldn't even afford her camera subscription. I think we're getting lied to about that one. I'm sorry. I think we're getting lied to about that one. But that's just my humble opinion, right? I've been wrong before, right? I'm not saying I'm always right. It was June 7th, 1989. I'll never forget it.
600 people like, comment, subscribe right now. You're at $5.95.
Do me a favor, everybody. We're closing in on that 600 mark. Do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. Why? Because it's the only thing I care about. Right? Nothing else. Hit the thumbs up, too. That does help. That way, when I get shadow banned for saying things like rape and false flag, sexual assault, I say somebody's 13, murder, gun, bullet, all this shit you can't say. At least then I can say, look, I had this many likes and they're still not giving me views. I absolutely care more about victims than I do about views. It's disrespectful as hell to say somebody got graped, right? I'm not saying that to a woman that went through that. They found a solar camera on her roof last night. They did. Do you know how they found that? Neighbors. The neighbors were out. I don't know if you saw the video of this, but the neighbors were out. If they weren't talking about that, they sure as shit were pointing to the roof. And allegedly, right, murked instead of murdered. Allegedly, they said that the neighbor told her that the roof looked recently painted. Now, if you live in Tucson, then you know exactly what that means, because you don't paint the roof in Tucson black, which would make it hard to tell if it's new. They're all painted white because the sun is so damn hot that if you were to paint it black, the temperature in your house would be, you'd have meat falling off the bone. So they paint it in this reflective white paint.
600 people.
They said that, it looked recently painted. So some people went up on the roof and they ended up taking the neighbors could be wildlife cams. Yeah. And police closed off the area by a racetrack near her house this morning. There's a lot of weird shit going on. They also went over to the Circle K. If you look at, and I actually pulled the map up, and if you look at where everybody is, there's 4 miles between mom and daughter. This would be the wicked daughter that lives with the swarthy guy, right? There's 4.5 miles between them. If you go and try to leave this part of town, you're going to go by the Circle K on Oracle. You know where that is, too.
I I did.
There's a really good chance that's the way you're going. I mean, you can back road it, but eventually you're going to pop out on a road. They're just trying to figure out exactly where it came from. Yes.
I like the son-in-law. Sorry.
Yeah, Johnny Scoville says he likes the son-in-law for this. I am really,
He doesn't
really.
look bright enough to pull this off. He was stupid enough to try.
Kara from Maryland, good to see you. Isn't the Circle K like 1,000 feet away from her house? Not from the daughter's house, but from mom's house. It's a walkable distance from mom's house.
Not if you're 84.
Ransom, yeah, exactly. They keep saying she can walk 50 yards. If somebody said to me, how far could your mother walk? How the hell would I know? Right? Literally. Not 150 feet. Mom can go 150 feet. She can't go more than that. It seems like there are so many weird-ass narratives that they're running with like they're just etched in stone. Ransom Bitcoin guy was into some headbanger music. The son-in-law is into dark stuff.
628 and rising.
I really wholeheartedly believe, right, without a shadow of a doubt, that this is going to come down to, if it's not a family member, it's somebody that knows them very, very well. I think Tom and Annie, along with another person who helped, well, there'd have to be another person, right? Unless you're really the dumbest criminal in the world, because he ain't going to be able to go guard mom. They're going to have, I would imagine, at least one more person, maybe two. That's my humble opinion. And you look fantastic in green. Thank you so much. Love new members, man. Love new members. Don't trust a guy with a goatee that you can braid.
That's why I cut mine off.
Bandmates, I'd be looking at the bandmates if I were cops there. I'd be looking at the bandmates. But keep in mind, although they're doing a lot of stuff that's logical, they're looking at pharmacies, they're looking at emergency rooms, they're looking at any place that somebody could come up with a drug that she needs to have. They're looking at license plate readers. They're going door to door. They did wait 6 days to go door to door, but they're going door to door. They're doing an awful lot of stuff. That would be the goatee braid. Had to get rid of it because Johnny Scoville knew that he couldn't be trusted. If it's not a family member, it's somebody that worked at or on the house possibly. Yeah, hotels, Jeff, they're checking that stuff too. Polygraph the whole family, right? You may not even have to give the polygraph.
Absolutely.
Because all you got to say is, I'd like to polygraph all of you. And the one jackwagon that goes, oh, no, I was told you never take one of those. You crawl up his ass with a microscope because guaranteed the person that did it isn't going to want to take that. They will be caught. It's a friend of a friend. I think they're going to get caught.
Oh, there's no way.
I would bet the farm. There's no chance they get away with this. If you want to start looking at statistics like the Hall of Fame of people that got away with bank robbers, it ain't a big list. Especially in the United States. Outside the U.S., there are people that do this for a living. You want to hear something, Johnny Scoville? It's just like a bank robber that does it for a living. You're not getting $4 million. You're not going for the vault. It isn't heat. You're going in, you're popping one teller, you're going out, right? It's a completely different game. The people that do this for a living, you know what they get on average? $27,000. The average kidnapper worldwide gets paid $27,000. You know how long they hold the person? Less than 24 hours. It's a business. I got your kid. Put 30 grand onto this. You're going to drop it at such and such a park. And I'm telling you right now, the guy that's picking it up doesn't even know why he's picking it up. Chase him down, your kid dies. Call in the cop, your kid dies. I hate to sound like a prick, but this is how it works, right? You're watching us. I'm going to be watching you, right? The guy that goes and picks up that money has no idea why he's picking it up. But I'm telling you right now, if somebody messes with him, you're going to get your kid in a box, right? Piece by piece. It's sad, but it's the truth. If this is what you're trying to do, what is taking them so long in finding them? Well, there's a couple of ways to look at this. They got about 2 days left to catch, then the rubber hits the road. Jeff is making reference to the second timeline. They said if they didn't get their money by Monday, it's or else. They didn't say what the or else is, but there were two timelines. My gut, if I were the kidnapper, I'd say if you don't pay me by Monday, it goes from 4 million to 8 million. You don't pay me by the next date, I whack your grandma, right, or your mother, or whatever. Yeah. I think what's taking them so long to find them is these kidnappers aren't playing by the kidnapper playbook.
I agree with Sandra.
What was that?
Police know who it is, and they know soon after it happened.
Oh, 100%. I would bet you a digit. Well, maybe this one. I would bet you a digit that they know who did this.
You betcha.
Just like Brian Koberger. Yeah, we got no leads. We got no leads. They were in the process of going to his house to arrest him when they were doing that press conference. They know. Make no mistake. You think the kidnappers aren't watching YouTube? You think the kidnappers aren't watching CNN?
They're watching you, Tommy Scoville.
if the kidnappers are watching me, you guys suck, man. Proof of life. If you don't have it, you need to get out of Dodge, right? Stop trying to get the money and find a non-extradition country to hide in. How serious do you think this Monday thing is? Here's the deal. Here's the deal. I don't like Mondays either. Here's the deal on the Monday thing. Prove to me my mom is still alive, or I assume it's Tuesday. The hell have I got to lose? I'm not sending you money, right? Just on the strength that you say you got my mother. I'm sorry. I hate to sound like a dick, but I'm not going to pay the money that I could pay to do something to save my mom's life to some asshole that can't even prove that she took her, right? That's just not going to work for me. And I'll tell you something, right? They aren't watching Nancy Grace, says Rue. If it's a family member or a friend of the family and an amateur, it might show up on a polygraph from nerves. Oh, yeah, no. I'm telling you whether they're a pro or not. Even if you're a stone cold gangster, when they come in and say, hey, we want you to take a polygraph test, normally, like if it were me, they'd say, I want you to take a polygraph test. We think you robbed the bank. Screw you. I'm not taking any polygraph tests. All it can do is hurt me. I'm walking out of here. But they're not saying, hey, your mother-in-law is missing. There's no reason not to take a polygraph test if your mother-in-law is missing. They were so fast to arrest Diddy, but not a single arrest for Epstein. Oh, I'll tell you what, man. I mean, let's keep it real. The thing about Epstein that pisses me off more than anything is there is one arrest with Epstein, if we want to get technical. Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison over the Epstein scandal. And you know what's crazy about Ghislaine Maxwell? She's in prison for pandering, right? For selling kids for sex, but she sold them to no one. Allegedly, Ghislaine Maxwell said that there were 28 deals were issued by the United States of America to get people that were co-defendants of Epstein's out of trouble. 28, 3 women and 25 men. That's the list I want to see, right? Those are the people that were banging kids and getting away with it. And it's disturbing as shit, right? That needs to come out more than anything. If a family member that hates the rich daughter because she won't give them any money, family member probably does meth, and they came up with this plan during a binge. Snitch hunt, the only reason I don't buy that is allegedly, right? Someone is saying that there was fentanyl found at the house. Ain't a dope fiend that's leaving fentanyl behind, right? And there also isn't a meth head that ain't casing that joint. They were in there for 40 minutes and didn't steal anything. Holy shit, there's stuff worth money in there. They kept their eye on the prize, right? Steal all the jewelry. Steal the Rolex watch. How easy it is to pawn a Rolex. But they didn't take any of that. They just went for the prize, which was the woman, right? They do a walking test to see if a patient's oxygen level goes down before they get home oxygen. They'd know 50 feet after that. Renee B. That's why you have an intelligent nurse in your chat. Renee B and I go way back. She's super smart.
Totoro Smile says the police don't have a clue who it is. That's no one's arrested. Don't buy that. Not for a minute.
I just want to remind you that when they arrested Brian Koberger, they had already run where he bought the knife. They had already done a DNA test and found his DNA on the snap of the knife. They already knew he had left his phone at the house. They knew it was his car. They had pictures of it. They had the arrest warrant in hand. And that day they did a press conference and said, we got no suspects. We got no people of interest. We got nothing. We got nothing. Now, the Koberger cops did a much better job than they're doing with old Barney Fife down there. I still think it's service workers, probably Mexican gang members, found an easy mark. You know why I would disagree with you on this? Number one, I don't think that they had to break in. And I don't think that grandma would have opened the door to some people from south of the border. Number two, it seems to me that if you're going to kidnap people, right, you would do it in Mexico, where kidnappings are profitable. 70% of the people that kidnap down there get away with it. And these people seem to have a really good handle on technology, right? They may not be going about it the right way, but they are not tech stupid. And I'm not saying that Mexicans from south of the border are tech stupid. Which one?
When the pacemaker disconnected, wouldn't that send an alert to family members?
It would not. It would not. And I'll tell you why they don't do that, because it is a great question. And I believe it or not, I looked this shit up. One of the questions I asked was, why would you not do that? And they said, because every time mom walked out to the pool or went, oh, I forgot something at the car, Normally, some people use the watch. Some people use the phone. So every time you walk 40 feet away from your phone, your kid would be getting an alert, right? It's just like your AirPod. Can you imagine getting a notification every time the AirPod got too far away from the base of the phone or vice versa? Tucson is not 20 minutes from the border. Yeah, it's not 20 minutes from the border. It is close to the border, to be sure, but it ain't 20 minutes. It's way longer than that. And you know how I know that? Because I was involved in human trafficking and drug dealing in the Mexican. I'm not. That's a joke. But I had YouTube fans that actually called the government and told them that, because YouTubers are just fun. Trolls are great people. It's at least an hour. Yeah. I mean, when we were going down there to get all of that gamma hydroxybutyric acid, right, that we were going to keister. How long a drive was that? Idiots. Yeah, it was. It used to take us from the Catalina foothills about an hour and 20 minutes. Now, of course, I'm not somebody that breaks the law, so I was doing the speed limit. If you were trying to get there a little quicker, you could. No, again, you're wrong. Again, you're wrong. It says it takes hours. It takes hours. Where the hell was that? It takes hours to find people, not weeks. No, that's not true. That's not true at all. And statistically speaking, this isn't true. So let's look at Elizabeth Smart, right? Elizabeth Smart was kidnapped. They didn't find the people for 9 months. These kind of things happen all the time. The Brian Kohberger, right? This keeps getting brought back up because the whole world was waiting for an arrest on Brian Kohberger. And the whole world was going, these cops are doing dick. 4 beautiful college kids are dead, and these cops are doing nothing. The cops were working their ass off, right? But it took a long ass time, right, to end up with him. How about the doctor and the dentist, right? Spencer and Monique Tepe. 10 days went by, right? We're on day 7. 10 days went by, and everyone was going, the cops don't know dick. Boom, an arrest. It doesn't take hours. It takes hours if you're doing stuff like, if you're catching somebody that robs a bank and they're bad at it, you could pick up that person in an hour, right? If you get into a car that has your license plate number on it, then you get picked up in hours. If you got your shit together as a criminal, it's not going to be hours, right? You're going to use something like a block on the license plate readers. If they're from Tucson, they realize there were license plate readers everywhere.
And they got them from point to point.
Correct. So you put something over your license plate while you're driving. It's still not foolproof, man. You know what, man? I like Inspector Moore every single time the dude opens his mouth. It takes hours just to get the coffee and donuts. Hey, to all of my cop friends out there, he's telling the truth. You guys know he is. I can say that. I don't really have any cop friends. If you ever went to the Douglas border, not Nogales border, no, even Douglas ain't 20 minutes. No, it's not even close. All suspects are being electronically monitored 24/7. Bet the farm. Bet the farm. If that son-in-law farts, they know about it. Why haven't they picked him up yet? Maybe because they do believe she's alive. And maybe they believe if they grab him. See, well, I appreciate the honesty in that. That's true. I know people who wrote complaints to the police about them not taking Kohberger case seriously as he wasn't caught straight away. No, but they built a hell of a case, didn't they? They really did. They built a hell of a case. This is just, I got to do this for the name. Unfortunately, I believe the kidnappers freaked out over the massive media attention and killed Nancy. I hope I'm wrong.
From Tucson to Nogales is an hour and 20 minutes. From Tucson to the Douglas crossing is 2 hours to 40 minutes.
2 hours and 40 minutes to Douglas and an hour and 20 to Nogales. Boy, it shows you where we were getting our dope.
Right.
I've been sober for 10 years, people. It's just I'm having fun with the people that do
Nogales
the
is significantly closer and faster.
Yeah, Nogales is definitely the place you want to go to. Hold on 1 second. About the arrested guy in California. His name was Kaya. Throw me the iPad. Yes, the guy from California that was arrested. He is just a jackwagon that was trying to get paid. He admitted instantly when the cops showed up. He self-snitched. He self-snitched so fast. He's like, yeah, I sent that. I had nothing to do with the kidnapping. They started chasing the stuff down. His name is Derek Kaya, 42 years old, arrested and already arraigned, right? The feds don't fart around. He has already been arraigned on this.
Nick, who's hasn't think about that.
Yeah, Nick still hasn't even gone to his arraignment, but that's an odd case.
Yeah.
The blood on the outside of the door came back to Nancy. However, there is other blood, or they didn't say blood. I don't want to misquote that. But there are other things that they are testing, right, for DNA. Some law enforcement officers had Koberger, but like the FBI, each agent has to daily plead the case to convince. Yeah, that's why there are tons of theories and tips, and each must be tracked. But according to Ashley Banfield, the number one theory right now is the son-in-law.
That's what I said.
That media plea from the famous daughter and tweets from Trump on Truth Social about the case may have freaked out the kidnappers. They may have. They absolutely may have.
What's they be freaked out without that?
No, but here's the thing. People go, they're freaked out so that they're going to kill the mother. From a criminal's point of view, you'd go the opposite direction.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you would. You would drop her off at a gas station. You would put her somewhere that people would find her in a short period of time, and she couldn't see and identify you. Because if you kill her, right, you're already scared, right? I'm going to get caught. Well, you're looking at 30 years for kidnapping. Get a really good lawyer, you might get 25, out with time off for good behavior, out 23, some shit like that. You whack her, you're never getting out. You're never getting out. This is a really interesting question.
Good question.
Tommy, how was this guy that was arrested? How did he have the sister's phone number to text them the phony ransom note? You may not believe this, but what is being reported right now is that they just got this through publicly available sources. No shit whatsoever. Like if you pay one of those services to say, hey, I want to look up, this person or that person, they will find you addresses on them. I've done this. It's creepy. But they will get you the most recent phone numbers on people, and there's nothing to it. There literally is nothing to it. Unless you pay to have it unlisted, your shit's out there too. Creepy, isn't it? I hope they were stupid and stopped at the gas station. Even if they didn't, right? Even if they didn't, all they had to do was drive by that gas station. Cindy Love says, Tommy, what's your gut? Is she alive? My gut?
She's as dead as Caesar.
My gut says she's as dead as Caesar. I'm sorry. I take no joy in that, right? But it's a business, right? If you rob banks, it's a business. If you do anything illegal, right? Even the first time you do it, it's a business. There's a business transaction. Kidnapping is not a mystical thing. It's a effing business transaction. I got your loved one. I will prove to you that I have the loved one.
That's the only way insurance to get paid.
Right? They stopped at the gas station for a Snickers bar. Yeah, they were ball dropped when they didn't take the front door mat on the first and second search. Stupid. How about just letting it open, right? I love Brian Enton, but why are you letting that fool traipse through your crime scene? Why are all of those people traipsing through the crime scene? Then you go back up, put up crime tape, and it doesn't occur to you to go, holy shit, maybe we ought to just keep this closed off for a week or two.
Actually, yes. Why haven't they produced proof of life? Because she's dead.
Yeah, they haven't produced proof of life because she's dead. I mean, you show proof of life. I'm gonna wash my hands. Says I don't think she was alive long at all, unfortunately. The Mexican cartel does this all the time on the Mexican side of the border. Statistically speaking, you got a 7 out of 10 chance of getting away with a bank robbery. Kidnapping on the Mexican side of the border. You got no chance getting away with it on the U.S. side of the border. Yeah. The Mexican cartel isn't involved. And I'm not trying to bum anybody out, but you know why they're not involved? Because one person going across the border with a load of fentanyl is going to make them more money than this is. And there's almost no risk.
Exactly.
Also, there was easy access to the top of the guest house. I think they went in the back door and out the front. They could have. I hate how much crime cases fascinate me. Yeah, but if they didn't, I'd have to get a job. Right? Can you have a little compassion for an ex-criminal? For the love of God.
What's the matter with you? Don't talk like that.
You don't want me to say the J word? I apologize, man. Honestly, I do. Suspect Uber. Yeah. Honestly, I'm not trying to sound like a jackass. Everyone's got to have a side hustle, try to make some money.
That's a rough side hustle.
But you think an Uber driver's going, ooh, you know what? I ought to kidnap this woman. I don't see that. Oh, I'd be super grateful if she's alive. And I promise you this, I pray every single night that that woman is alive. I'm not kidding you.
The drugs she needs.
I am not kidding you, man. Where's Cash Patel's bum ass? Tell him to get on the case and find Nancy. Cash Patel actually made a trip to Tucson. Now, before you give him too much credit, it had been scheduled about a month in advance. It had nothing to do with this. But I agree with you. The cartels all have connections to politicians and police, so it would be easier for cartel to kidnap in Mexico than the USA. Ding, 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 ding. Yahtzee. And if they get caught in Mexico, they're going to buy their way out of it. I'm not trying to be a dick, but do you know what a Mexican cop makes in Mexico? They make about $400 a month, right? Shh. So you give that guy $2,000, and what are the odds they go, yeah, wrong dude. Look like him. Sure look like him. Wrong dude. They're not coming across the border because if they come across the border, they can't pay off a cop. Or if they do, it's going to cost them a ludicrous amount of money. And they're going to end up at where? They're going to end up in the federal prison system. You come across the border, you're a fed. It doesn't matter what you do. Kidnapping, drug dealing, illegal entry, you're going to the federal system, which means you're not going to have a TV in your cell. I did fed time, a lot of it. Bank robbery is a federal offense. They're going to go to ADX Florence, which means you're not even going to have a cellmate. Oh, yeah. Oh, God, yeah. Oh, God, yeah. Do I think someone put trackers on the cars to case schedules? They put trackers on that car before anybody knew what was going on. I promise you. I'll tell you a quick funny story, right? But first, hit subscribe, hit the bell for notification because I go live a lot. I'm a YouTuber. Then hit that thumbs up thing. And if you hate me, hit the thumbs down thing. But for God's sakes, interact.
Engage with people.
When I was being hunted by the FBI for robbing banks, I was married to an attorney at the time. And they were hunting me down thinking I was going to rob more banks. I had already been to prison for robbing a crap load of them. And they assumed I would get out and go right back to my old line of work. I didn't. Tried a new line of work, which also happened to be illegal. But when I got my discovery, it said that there was a tracker on my car. I had a Mercedes AMG. It was a beautiful little car, two-door. But they said that they had to put the tracker on my car because I was so on to the cops and how they did stuff that I would pull into cul-de-sacs to see if I was being followed. I would stop at green lights and wait until the light turned red. Then I would gun it through. None of that shit happened. I had no idea I was being followed. I was just happily going along my little gun business going do-do-do. But they will lie to get that warrant. The fascinating thing is they took Annie and Tom's car. What does the warrant say? They had to get a warrant for that car. You don't go into the cops. You have to bullshit the story, right? Like, hey, this Tommy guy, he pulls off into cul-de-sacs. He guns it to 160 miles an hour. They told so much bullshit because you got to get a warrant to put that tracker on. What did they get a warrant to search that car for? They can't go, well, we just want to eliminate him. We have rights in the U.S., Fourth Amendment and all that jazz. That Fourth Amendment right will not let you just grab somebody's car on the strength of, I just kind of wanted to look at it. They had to go in there and say, this guy's a suspect, Your Honor, and here's why, right? All cars built have built-in trackers after 1999. There's some truth to that, but they like a backup. They like a backup. Well, I wasn't technically robbing banks. I was selling guns. I was a gun runner. But did my ex, the lawyer, say that? If I said that, I would be putting her.
Sounds so nasty. You sold a few.
I sold a few guns. If I said that she knew about it, I would be putting her legal career in jeopardy. That's the last thing I would want to do. She knew about it. In fact, I believe there may have even been a picture of her in the discovery holding an AR-15. Not 100% sure on that. I'm 100% sure on that. No, I'm just busting balls, Laura Lou. I hate her. She's a terrible person. Sorry, she really is. She was more of a criminal than I was. That's no lie, man. Shakespeare had it right. We should take out all the lawyers first. This is a true story. This is a true story. The warrant is protected. I talked about this as soon as the show started today. Everything about this case is sealed. Remember, everybody told us that didn't happen? Like when the David case, David and Celeste, they said that didn't happen. When they shut down the Nick Reiner case, they say that doesn't happen. And I came on and said, bullshit. It happens about a third of the time. It happens thousands of times across the U.S. every year. It happens in every jurisdiction. They shut stuff down if they think guys like us and gals like her are out trying to find out that warrant. They don't want me doing a show going, hey, guess what they put down on that warrant? They say that this guy was doing X, Y, and Z, and then he takes off for the hills, or he calls his friend and says, bury her. I have seen the interview room. Yeah, well, it isn't quite solved just yet, right? Their opinions are out there, and they may be very solid, but we haven't solved anything just yet. We got to be careful with words.
When it does come out, we're going to know that they knew way before we.
Oh yeah, when this does come out, it's going to be like Koberger, where we're going to go, wait a sec, they just told us in a press conference that they didn't have any suspects, and then they're going to be perp walking that fool, right, and his wife. Just saying, right? Just saying. What's that?
The wicked, you mean?
Wicked wife. Here's the thing. Look, somebody just asked a very realistic question, right? Did my wife know what I was doing? Look, man, you're not going to pull off this kind of a job and not have your wife know.
I was into shady stuff.
Your wife knew. Every girl I've ever been with knew, except the current one, because I don't commit crimes anymore. New sub, you're hilarious. And know your stuff. Well, thank you. I spent a lot of time breaking the law.
You know your stuff.
I spent a lot of time breaking the law. I'm sorry, I did. I don't do it anymore. I've been clean and sober for a very long time. No, Johnny Scoville doesn't break any laws. He won't even spit on the sidewalk. But make sure you smack that subscribe button. You're going to thank me later. I am going to bail off of this thing. I could stay on like everyone else does to try to make more money. But the truth is, there's a really good chance that there's going to be more updates, right? And I need to be on the cutting edge of that because I'm going to come back and we're going to have discussions about it. If you stick around here long enough, you're going to realize that the reason that this show is so friggin' awesome is because of the 600 people that are here right now, right? They ask fantastic questions. They have great theories. Even if the theory isn't great, they've at least thought it the hell out, right?
Marie says you're a smart guy. Don't take it out.
Yeah, don't let that get out, Eva Marie. They'll go back and re-prosecute me. One of my defenses was I'm way too stupid to have done this. Andy met Tommaso in Italy. He got in trouble there for robbery along with one band member. Tommaso teaches biology. He technically knows how to dispose. Yeah. I wonder if the kidnapper was influenced by Trump kidnapping Maduro. Well, Maduro did have an arrest warrant. I don't think they call it kidnapping if there's an arrest warrant. But I already did a show on that. You can go watch that one. I live in South America. People are pretty fired up about that. They're happy as shit it went down. For real. They were waving American flags that day I was here. All right, people, I'm going to go down to the beach real quick, but I'm bringing my iPad with me because I am going to keep researching this case. I have at least 2 more shows coming up today, so if you haven't hit the bell for notification, I'll find you. I'm kidding. But seriously, I'll find you. Make sure you hit subscribe, hit that bell for notification. I'm Tommy. I will see you on the next one. Between now and then, you should go buy Relatable Reese and sign and become a subscriber to my wife's channel. I think you'll find her very funny. And then stop by Chase the Heat. The Johnny Scoville, he eats the hottest things on planet Earth and is kind of world famous for it. Look at this. Ah, fine, I'll stick around. A $10 super chat. Thank you. You're also very intelligent. Shh. Seriously? You know what, though? Here's the thing. I don't know if you ever saw the movie A Bronx Tale, right? Intelligent people don't end up in prison. I got smart after I stopped doing drugs and started reading books. But I was pretty damn stupid when I was robbing banks. There's a lot of truth to that. All right, people, I love you all. I really do. I will see you on the next one. And that next one will be today. So hit the subscribe button, catch that bell for notification. I'm Tommy. Hit that like button on the way out. It helps. See you. God bless.